Just in case you forgot, you're 89 years old.
The tragic circumstances that led to the death of Clint Eastwood's lover at the age of 61 will leave you in a state of disbelief. Continue to watch as we learn the shocking circumstances of Eastwood's romantic life, as well as the terrible cause of her dying. Over the course of his career that spans several decades, Clint Eastwood's romantic relationships have garnered a great deal of attention. In light of the recent demise of his lifelong lover, Christina Sandera, the narrative has taken a turn for the worse at this point. However, she is only one chapter in his lengthy romantic past, which also includes 2 previous marriages and a number of high-profile romances. He has been happily married twice before. In this article, we will delve into the disturbing aspects of Eastwood's romantic history, as well as the profound impact that Sandera's passing has already had. Younger years. His career has been a blend of challenging storytelling and general appeal, beginning with his humble beginnings on the small screen as the rugged Rowdy Yates in the classic TV western Rawhide, and culminating in his recent victories as an Oscar-winning director. Clint Eastwood's career has been a blend of these 2 elements. Eastwood's early life was a long cry from the flash and glamour of the entertainment industry. He was born in a period when television was a far-off fantasy, and Hollywood celebrity seemed almost mythological. The 31st of May, 1930, found Clint Eastwood being born in the city of San Francisco. It was during the Great Depression that he spent his formative years. Clint, who weighed more than 11 pounds, was born into a world that was still struggling to overcome the effects of economic distress. After another 4 years, his sister Jean became a member of the family. Because Clint Eastwood's father was always looking for new employment possibilities, the Eastwood family spent a significant portion of Clint's formative years moving about from place to place. This nomadic existence would later be reflected in Eastwood's filmmaking. The early years of Eastwood's life were distinguished by shyness and a profound passion with music, particularly jazz. This was despite the fact that he was a towering figure. While appearing on Inside the Actors Studio, Clint Eastwood revealed that he had taught himself how to play the piano by ear. This ability allowed him to earn money when he was a teenager by performing in the area where his family had permanently resided. School was never his love, and after graduating from high school, he moved to Los Angeles, where his towering figure and raw charm served as his initial steps into the world of entertainment, which led to his breakthrough and climb to stardom. Beginning in 1954, Eastwood began his career in Hollywood by appearing in supporting roles. He was terminated from his position at Universal Studios shortly after, although he continued to look for acting possibilities. It was possible that this failure would have been the end of his dreams of becoming a film director, but fortune had other plans for him. Eastwood was offered a role in a television series during a time when the tiny screen was becoming increasingly important to the way families in the United States lived their lives. This was a fortunate turn of events. From 1959 until 1965, he was a main cast member on the hit television show Rawhide. Even though the job was not very difficult, it was the one that opened doors for him that would eventually lead to other opportunities in the film industry. Sergio Leone, an Italian filmmaker, recognized Eastwood's talent and cast him in the lead role of A Fistful of Dollars, 1964, a spaghetti western film that was shot in the sun-drenched vistas of Spain. This film was a game-changer for Eastwood, who, while wearing his signature poncho hat and with a cigar continuously dangling from his lips, developed a persona of a mysterious and gloomy gunslinger. In addition to the soaring success of the film, Eastwood's mysterious character appeared in 2 additional chapters of the series. In 1965, for a few dollars more, and in 1966, for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which brought the illustrious Dollar Trilogy to a successful conclusion. Eastwood's commitment is highlighted by a fascinating incident that dates back to this time period. The outfits and cigars that he used in the flicks were all items that he personally sought and donated. In the course of his work with Leone, Eastwood had established himself as one of the most sought-after performers by the time the cooperation came to an end. Despite this, he was on the verge of even greater recognition, in spite of the fact that he still required a little bit more time to completely emerge as a filmmaker icon. As an actor, I became an acclaimed director. During the early stages of his career, Eastwood was primarily focused on acting. Yet his interest in directing was always present beneath the surface. During his time on film sets, he paid close attention to the filmmakers and was anxious to one day become a part of the filmmaking process himself. It was in 1967 when he established the Malpaso Company, a production firm that would provide him with the ability to select and mold the stories he wanted to portray. This was his first significant step toward achieving this objective. Play Misty for Me, a thriller that was released in 1971, was the first picture that Clint Eastwood directed. Although it received a variety of reactions from critics, it was the film that signaled the beginning of his dual career as an actor and a filmmaker. During this time period, Eastwood continued to cement his name as an actor, particularly by his performance in Dirty Harry 1971, in which he collaborated with director Don Siegel. During the course of this gritty and action-packed movie, Eastwood played the role of Detective Harry Callahan, a ruthless law enforcement officer who follows his own set of rules and believes that the ends justify the means. A substantial amount of criticism was directed toward the film when it was first released, with some even considering it fascist. The film was released during a turbulent political era under President Richard Nixon. In spite of this, Dirty Harry was a critical and economic success, which resulted in an increase in sales of the Smith & Wesson Model 29 revolver that was carried by the titular investigator. With the help of this character, Eastwood was able to abandon his Wild West identity and firmly establish himself as a new action movie star. He became linked with a stern and unfeeling picture of law and order. An unwavering supporter of the Republican Party, Eastwood has never been shy about expressing his political opinions, especially when attending high-profile events such as the Academy Awards. Sachin Littlefeather, on behalf of Marlon Brando, withdrew the Academy Award for The Godfather in 1973. This was done in order to bring attention to concerns of Native American representation and the events that took place at Wounded Knee. The Godfather was also the recipient of the award for Best Picture, which was presented by Eastwood shortly after the prize was presented. Before he presented the medal, he made a pointed jest, saying, "I don't know if I should present this award on behalf of all the cowboys shot in all the John Ford westerns over the years." This statement was generally interpreted as a thinly veiled swipe at Littlefeather's protest. In 2019, an activist named Raphael Shimunov sent out a tweet that brought attention to the video clip. Within a single day, the video had 1.6 million views, which reignited the controversy that had been surrounding Eastwood's remark. This moment again surfaced decades later. In 1993, Clint Eastwood achieved a crucial milestone in his directorial career by winning the Academy Award for Best Director for his film Unforgiven. This achievement came after he had reached the age of 60. Not only did this intellectual western starring Morgan Freeman garner 9 nominations, but it also won 4 major Oscars, including the prize for Best Picture. In spite of the fact that he was 63 years old, Eastwood had not yet reached the height of his successes in the film industry. The most powerful people in Hollywood continued to be captivated by his dominating presence and his ability to deliver stories. Action stars such as Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is a devoted admirer of Eastwood, were inspired by his performances. Nonetheless, it was Eastwood's directorial vision that drew top talent eager to collaborate with him. He never employs the words action or cut in his speech. On the set of a movie, he is his own unique individual. "Wonderful," Freeman commented, drawing attention to the distinctive method that Eastwood takes. In addition to his effectiveness on set, Eastwood is also dedicated to a consistent crew, which has resulted in the formation of what is possibly the most enduring family he has ever known. This commitment was made clear in 2003 when the film Mystic River received widespread critical praise, was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, and ultimately won 2 of them. In spite of the fact that many of his contemporaries were winding down their careers or choosing roles that were more profitable but required less effort, Eastwood continued to generate hits. 1 year after the release of Mystic River, he once again grabbed viewers with the release of $1 Million Baby in 2004. For the soundtrack that was nominated for a Grammy, Eastwood served in numerous capacities, including as a producer, star, director, and composer. Eastwood was awarded the Oscar for Second Best Director for his work on the film. which also garnered Hilary Swank and Freeman the awards for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actor, respectively. The film got 7 nominations throughout its production. Despite the fact that Clint Eastwood is widely regarded as one of the most accomplished directors of his period, he has never been one to seek the spotlight in Hollywood beyond the roles he has played both in front of and behind the camera. He has made the decision to live a peaceful life in Carmel, a charming town that is located in Monterey County, California, over the past many decades. There, in his coastal estate, Eastwood has discovered a tranquil haven with some of his 8 children. The mansion is surrounded by natural beauty and wildlife. His private life, which is frequently characterized by mystery and conjecture, has remained shrouded in obscurity, with more stories circulating than facts that have been validated via investigation. Ms. Johnson, Maggie within the decade of the 1950s, when Clint Eastwood made his debut on the Hollywood scene, he had just recently tied the knot with his first wife, Maggie Johnson. Throughout the course of their marriage, which is still his longest, there were times of stability as well as times of turmoil, including multiple affairs. In addition to having a number of high-profile partnerships and flings that have resulted in the birth of other children, Eastwood's romantic involvements have continued to garner media attention. It was in May of 1953 when a mutual acquaintance arranged for Eastwood and Johnson to go on a blind date in San Francisco. This was the beginning of their story. According to the biography of Clint Eastwood, written by Richard Schickel, Johnson was a student at the University of California, Berkeley at the time, while Eastwood had only recently returned from military service and was getting ready to enroll at Los Angeles City College. In spite of the fact that Johnson was already in a relationship, she was enthralled by Eastwood's modest approach and his attractive features. I was astonished by the appearance of the individual. In addition to that, he was unassuming, and I found that to be something that I found appealing, Johnson explained to Schickel. Their connection was instantaneous, and they continued their romance even after Eastwood moved to Los Angeles in the fall of the same year. On the other hand, Eastwood was also associated with other individuals throughout this time period. The couple tied the knot on December 19, 1953, just a few short months before Eastwood's daughter, Lori Murray, who was born from a previous relationship, was given up for adoption. When Eastwood and Johnson got married, they found that the path ahead was everything but smooth. As Eastwood reflected on their early years together, he referred to the first year of their marriage as terrible, emphasizing his desire to live his life according to his own terms. During the latter half of the 1950s, Eastwood engaged in an affair, which ultimately led to the birth of his daughter, Kimber Lynn, in 1964. This event brought him additional troubles. Kyle, who was born in 1968, and Allison, who was born in 1972, were the 2 children that Eastwood and Johnson were able to have together, despite the difficulties that they faced. They made their home in Carmel by the Sea, California, where Eastwood and Johnson intended to have a tranquil existence for themselves and their family. Nevertheless, their marriage fell apart in the middle of rising tensions and accusations that Eastwood was having an affair with Sondra Locke, who was also a co-star in the film. Eastwood acknowledged that the many disagreements they had regarding the development of their home were a contributing factor to their developing alienation. In 1979, after a number of years of misconduct and disagreement inside the marriage, Eastwood and Johnson made the decision to officially break their union. Following the conclusion of their divorce, Johnson was awarded a large settlement payment of $25 million. In spite of the fact that their love connection had come to an end, Eastwood and Johnson were able to keep up a friendly relationship by continuing to enjoy holidays together and always maintaining a courteous contact with one another. A. Tunis, Roxanne. It was at the time that Eastwood was married to Maggie Johnson that he introduced Roxanne Tunis to his romantic life. An accomplished stuntwoman named Tunis attracted Eastwood's attention on the set of Rawhide in 1959, and the 2 of them continued their relationship for a period of 14 years. The year 1964 marked the birth of their daughter, Kimber Lynn Eastwood, who was born to Tunis. On the other hand, Eastwood was taken aback when Tunis presented him with their daughter, who had already reached the age of 1 year. During an interview for the book Clint Eastwood, a biography written by Richard Schickel, Clint Eastwood compared the experience of being shocked by this revelation to the impact of an accident that occurred on the set. "With the wind knocked out of me, I was laying on the ground," he recalled. "I was completely lifeless. It has occurred rather frequently in my life, sometimes in a bodily sense and sometimes in a conceptual sense." However, despite the fact that Eastwood was responsible for Kimber's care, he did not remain a continuous presence in her life and only paid her visits once every few months. While this was going on, Tunis continued to be actively involved, frequently paying Eastwood visits both on set and at his office. A real-life duel adds another degree of difficulty to Eastwood's personal life, which is already complicated by the fact that the specific circumstances behind the end of their affair are still unknown. In the late 1960s, Clint Eastwood made the transition from television to the big screen by appearing in the 1969 musical western Paint Your Wagon, opposite Lee Marvin and Gene Seberg. This marked the beginning of Eastwood's career in the film industry. During the time when the movie was being shot in Oregon, Eastwood and Seberg, who were both married at the time, began having private affairs. Seberg, who was head over heels in love with Eastwood, had her husband, Romain Gary, in the dark about the fact that she was leaving him for the actor. Gary's response was dramatic. He challenged Eastwood to a duel with unspecified weapons. "They never went through with it," recounted Karina Longworth on her You Must Remember This podcast, as reported by Mercury News. Instead, Romain left, and Jean called her publicist to confess her love for Eastwood and her intention to divorce. Seberg's deep feelings for Eastwood were not reciprocated with the same intensity. She was unaware that while involved with her, Eastwood was simultaneously having another affair on the set. When Eastwood returned to Los Angeles, he abruptly cut off contact with Seberg. "Jean couldn't believe how indifferent he could be," said Jerry Tam, Seberg's publicist, as reported by Express. "She was a very vulnerable woman, and it was a terrible trauma for her." A bitter breakup with Sondra Locke. Clint Eastwood's tumultuous relationship with Sondra Locke began while he was still married to his first wife, Maggie Johnson. Locke, who starred with Eastwood in the 1976 western The Outlaw Josie Wales, quickly became both his on-screen partner and off-screen lover. Their relationship flourished throughout the 1970s and 1980s, continuing even after Eastwood's divorce from Johnson in 1984. However, their romance turned sour, culminating in a bitter breakup in April 1989. The split was marred by acrimony. In her autobiography, Locke stated that Eastwood had pressured her into 2 abortions and a tubal ligation, indicating that he did not want more children. Eastwood has denied these claims. The accusations cast a long shadow over their separation. As their relationship unraveled, Eastwood reportedly began seeing other women, including Jocelyn Reeves and Frances Fisher. By the time of their breakup, he allegedly moved Locke's belongings into storage and changed the locks on their shared residence. Soon after that, Sondra Locke took legal action against Clint Eastwood, filing a financial support lawsuit. She accused him of causing her humiliation, mental anguish, severe emotional and physical distress, and mental and physical harm throughout their tumultuous relationship. Locke sought $1.3 million of the wealth accumulated during their time together and demanded several properties, including one lease to Anderson. The lawsuit led to a settlement where Eastwood secured Locke a development deal at Warner Brothers. Additionally, Locke received a house and $450,000 in support. However, the legal disputes didn't end there. In 1995, Locke filed another suit against Eastwood, claiming fraud and breach of financial duty. She alleged that all the projects she pitched to the studio were rejected, suggesting that this might have been Eastwood's attempt to impede her career. Eastwood's camp has not publicly responded to these allegations. This second lawsuit was settled out of court in 1996 for an undisclosed amount. Reflecting on her tumultuous relationship with Eastwood, Locke told the Washington Post, "My biggest misfortune, my regret, is that I wish I'd cut my time with Clint in half. I wouldn't say I wish I never had the relationship, but I wish I'd understand who he was, and where it would end 5 or 6 years earlier so I could have moved on." Locke passed away from cancer in 2018, having remained married to Gordon Anderson until her death. Jocelyn Reeves. During Clint Eastwood's tumultuous relationship with Sondra Locke, he began an affair with Jocelyn Reeves, a flight attendant. Their relationship resulted in the birth of 2 children. In 1986, Reeves gave birth to their son, Scott Eastwood. 2 years later, in 1988, their daughter, Catherine Eastwood, was born. Despite their significant milestones, the specifics of their relationship remain largely private. Frances Fisher. In late 1988, Clint Eastwood crossed paths with Frances Fisher at a pre-production party for Pink Cadillac. At this time, Eastwood was still involved with Locke and entangled in his affair with Reeves. Fisher felt an immediate connection, describing their encounter as love at first sight. "I saw such beauty in his presence, and it felt like a crucial piece of the puzzle had fallen into place," Fisher recounted in Clint Eastwood, a biography. Their relationship blossomed both during the filming and after they returned to Los Angeles. Despite Eastwood and Locke's public split in late 1989, which Fisher found surprising due to its suddenness, Eastwood and Fisher continued their romance discreetly. By 1992, they were seen together at red carpet events, and in August 1993, welcomed their daughter, Francesca Ruth Eastwood. Fisher described their relationship as steady, serious, and filled with fun, and noted that everything was harmonious as long as she felt assured of Eastwood's faithfulness. By the close of 1993, Clint Eastwood and Frances Fisher's relationship began to unravel, driven by personal differences and heightened when Fisher discovered paparazzi photos of Eastwood with another woman. Their separation became official in 1995 when Fisher moved out. Despite the end of their romantic involvement, the two remained on amicable terms. Reflecting on their past, Fisher later told SF Gate, "The love is always there." Dinah Eastwood and Erica Tomlinson Fisher. In 1992, Clint Eastwood met news anchor Dinah Ruiz during an interview while still involved with Frances Fisher. Their paths crossed again at a local event in Carmel by the Sea. The connection deepened at a gathering at Spanish Bay, where a host encouraged Eastwood to sit with Ruiz. "We ended up holding hands," Eastwood reminisced to Carmel magazine. By early 1995, Eastwood and Ruiz were photographed sharing a kiss at a golf tournament. However, their relationship did not fully bloom until after Eastwood's separation from Fisher. In September 1995, Clint Eastwood proposed to Dinah Ruiz, and by March 1996, they were wed in what Ruiz described as her dream wedding. Their daughter Morgan arrived in December 1996, marking the beginning of a new chapter for Eastwood. The couple remained devoted to each other and their daughter, with Dinah revealing in a 2007 Carmel magazine interview that the longest they had ever been apart was maybe 10 days. She admired Eastwood's genuine nature and his reverence for the environment, sharing that he would often ask Morgan not to pick flowers, saying, "Please don't pick the flowers, let them live." To her, Eastwood was like St. Francis of Assisi, always going out of his way to be kind, even to insects. In an interview with Esquire, Eastwood spoke about his unique family dynamics, crediting Dinah for creating harmony among his children from previous relationships. "I have children with other women. I got to give Dinah the credit for bringing everyone together," he said. He acknowledged Dinah's efforts in fostering a sense of unity, noting her friendly relationships with his former wives and partners. "She went out of her way to unite everybody," he added. In 2012, Clint Eastwood and Dinah Ruiz offered a glimpse into their lives through the reality TV show Mrs. Eastwood Company. The series focused on Dinah's life with their daughter Morgan and Eastwood's stepdaughter Francesca. Though Eastwood himself made only sporadic appearances, sources soon revealed to people that Eastwood was deeply displeased with the show, viewing it as contrary to his values. By June, tensions were evident, with reports suggesting that despite residing under the same roof, Eastwood and Dinah were sleeping in separate rooms. Dinah reportedly sought comfort from an old friend, Scott Fisher, who was navigating his own divorce in Australia. Though Dinah maintained that her relationship with Scott was purely platonic, Erica Fisher, Scott's ex-wife, grew concerned and reached out to Eastwood in early 2013. By March, Eastwood and Erica were romantically involved, a development that stunned Dinah. In September 2013, Dinah filed for legal separation, seeking joint custody of Morgan and spousal support. She took to Twitter to request that her followers refrain from speaking ill of Eastwood, describing him as a wonderful, good-natured, brilliant person. Just a month later, she filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Dina found new happiness marrying Scott Fisher in July 2016. Meanwhile, Eastwood's relationship with Erica didn't last, and his search for companionship led him to another woman named Christina Sandera. A new chapter with Christina Sandera. After his separation from Erica Fisher, Clint Eastwood found solace in the company of Christina Sandera, whom he met while she was working as a hostess at his Mission Ranch hotel and restaurant in Carmel by the Sea. Their relationship began to take shape in 2014, a year marked by their low-key public appearances. In June of that year, they were spotted grocery shopping together, but Eastwood, true to form, kept their romance under wraps. By the end of 2014, Eastwood had finalized his divorce from Dina Eastwood, concluding a 17-year marriage. Despite Eastwood's high-profile status, Sandera remained largely out of the limelight. She eschewed social media and kept a relatively private profile, focusing on their life together away from the public eye. Though Christina Sandera preferred to stay out of the spotlight, she occasionally joined Clint Eastwood at significant public events, offering glimpses of their private life together. Their first official appearance as a couple came in 2015 at the Oscars, where Eastwood's film American Sniper was nominated for 6 awards, including Best Picture. Sandera's presence at the event marked a milestone in their relationship. Their public outings continued in 2016, when they attended a screening of Eastwood's Sully at the Directors Guild of America. The following year, they made a stylish entrance together at the Cannes Film Festival. Sandera also became a fixture at family events, attending the premiere of Eastwood's The Mule in 2018, alongside his children, granddaughter and first wife, Maggie Johnson. Tragic death. Tragically, Christina Sandera passed away recently at the age of 61 due to a heart attack, as reported by the Monterey County Health Department. Eastwood made the announcement of Christina Sandera's demise through a heartfelt statement released in the Carmel Pinecone newspaper's email newsletter on the evening of July 18, 2024. In his tribute, Eastwood described Sandera as a lovely, caring woman, expressing how deeply he would miss her. Sandera's death was attributed to cardiac arrhythmia, a condition characterized by an abnormal heart rate or rhythm. Additionally, atherosclerotic coronary artery disease played a significant role. According to the U.S. National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, atherosclerosis develops when plaque, composed of cholesterol, fat, blood cells, and other substances, accumulates in the arteries, narrowing them and leading to restricted blood flow. This condition is a major contributor to cardiovascular disease, the leading cause of death in the United States. The Mayo Clinic notes that coronary artery disease can occasionally result in sudden cardiac arrest, where the heart abruptly ceases to function properly due to irregular rhythms. 2 days after Christina Sandera's passing, the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary Foundation shared a tribute on social media, honoring her contributions to the organization. As a devoted board member of the non-profit, Sandera was celebrated for her tireless philanthropy and advocacy for animal rights. Her passion extended beyond marine conservation to equestrian causes, and she, along with Eastwood, had previously hosted a gala at the Tahama Clubhouse, one of Eastwood's properties. The foundation's tribute painted a vivid picture of Sandera's character. Despite her connection to the celebrity world, Christina preferred to stay out of the limelight. She was most at ease in her jeans, pigtails, and baseball cap, tending to her cherished horses and animals. A true roll-up-your-sleeves type, she was deeply immersed in her passions, the post read. A good father. Throughout his life, Clint Eastwood has faced a tumultuous personal history, including multiple failed marriages, persistent allegations of infidelity, and fathering 8 children with 6 different women. Yet amidst the scandals and a reputation as a notorious womanizer, Eastwood has been recognized for his unwavering dedication as a father. Eastwood strived to provide a stable upbringing for his children, raising them on a ranch in Carmel, California, away from the relentless glare of Hollywood. Surrounded by nature and animals, his children grew up with a sense of normalcy. Reflecting on his upbringing, Scott Eastwood once shared, "There were no handouts. It was always, get a job. If you want something, go out and get a job and make a career for yourself. Still working in his 90s at 94 years old, Clint Eastwood shows no signs of slowing down. Despite his advanced age, he remains deeply engaged in his work, currently directing and producing the upcoming thriller Juror Number 2, which stars Nicholas Hoult and Toni Collette. The film, which began shooting in June 2023, marks another chapter in Eastwood's illustrious career. Amidst the flurry of professional commitments, the Eastwood family has been navigating a period of personal grief. Just weeks after the passing of his longtime partner, Christina Sandera, Clint's son Scott Eastwood shared an update on how the family is coping. In an exclusive conversation with E! News, Scott revealed, "Everyone is doing great." Reflecting on his father's state, Scott offered reassurance. "He is doing okay. Thank you for asking. The family is finding strength and solace in one another during this challenging time, while Clint continues to focus on his passion for filmmaking." As Clint Eastwood forges ahead in both his professional and personal life, his resilience and dedication continue to inspire, even as he copes with the recent passing of his longtime partner, Christina Sandera. How do you think Eastwood's enduring spirit and commitment to his craft will shape his legacy, especially in the wake of such a profound personal loss? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more video updates. Until next time, stay tuned.